Hello, and welcome to 5-Minute Math. Today we are looking at the Algebra 1 concept of graphing functions and identifying features. This is standard A.3C in the great state of Texas, and we are using item number 43 off the 2016 released STAAR test. If you haven't done so already, please go ahead and take a moment to pause the video, work this problem out on your own, unpause it, and we will look at our answers together. So, we simply need to find the graph that shows a line with an x-intercept of -5. So some of us might be able to identify this really quick, but let's just slow down and take a moment to define both the x and the y-intercept, because that's really the trick here. Is if you're not quite sure what those terms mean, you're not going to find the definitions on your mathematics chart. There's no reference material information available to you on the STAAR test that defines both of these. So they're similar, yet they're different in one major way. So what is our x-intercept? That's what we're looking for, but we're going to contrast that with our y-intercept. So it is the place, the x-intercept, where the graph crosses. Now here's the big difference here. The x-axis. All right, so that means our y-intercept then is going to be where the place where the graph crosses not the x-axis but the y-axis. So think of an axis as obviously one of these two perpendicular lines. They're labeled for us, x and y. The x is horizontal, the y is vertical. And so the x-intercept, think of in football, an interception is when you are on defense and you're catching the ball that the quarterback threw to one of their own teammates. And so this line is being intercepted or being crossed by, at a certain point, by this graph. So we've got 4 different graphs here, A, B, C, or D. And let's just look at the x-intercept and the y-intercept of each, because we're going to see a -5 show up quite a few times, but we have to be able to identify which one's the x and which one's the y. So on A here, this is our x-axis, so that's the one we're looking at right here, okay? So x-axis, so I'm going to say my x-intercept is going to be, where does that line cross? Looks like I've got -5. Well, that looks like that's exactly what I'm looking for. Let's just see what the rest of it holds for us. Our y-intercept, since we're looking at intercepts, it's going to be right there at 4, +4. All right, so let's check B. Our x-intercept is, looks like 2.5. Sometimes you just have to guess, 2.5. Our y-intercept, now that's where the trick comes in. We have to know the difference between the x and the y, because look, it crosses right there at -5. So if we're not paying attention, we'll see, oh, that line crosses at -5, but that's the y-intercept. That's where the line crosses the y-axis. And let's check C. The x-intercept here looks just like 1, so that's not anywhere near what we want. Look at the y-intercept here. The y-intercept looks like it's a very steep slope, and I'm going to guess they meant it to be right there at 5. So the problem is twofold. Number one, that's the y-intercept 5, not the x-intercept. And then secondly, that's a +5, not a -5. All right, so let's check D here. Our x-intercept, okay, yeah, that's what I was figuring. We were going to get a +5 out there somewhere. So it is the x-intercept. It is a 5, but it's positive rather than negative. And then our y-intercept looks like it crosses right there at 4, which doesn't really matter. Yep, so all of those are incorrect. We are looking for our first answer of A.